Let's go, Rider Nation.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, here we go. It's a feeling now. Get 'em high, get 'em low, 'cause we're dealing now. Everybody's giving it all they got, 'cause we're ready.
Welcome to the Piffles podcast, your Saskatchewan Roughriders fan podcast, the last episode of 2024. Thanks for joining us. As always, you got me. I'm Alex.
I'm Steve.
And I got a problem with all of you.
Are we going to hear about it today, Greg?
And you're going to hear about it.
Excellent. Because it's the last episode of the year, that means it's our traditional Festivus episode. And from the sounds of it, I'm the one that has a lot more problems with the CFL than you guys do. And
Because you wrote it down.
This is a therapy session for me today, okay? This has been building a long time.
I pick on things as they come. You apparently just bottle it up until you're like a ball of hate and just wait to unload at Festivus.
Oh yeah, I don't just like that. That's how I am in real life too. I let it bottle up and then boom. It's not healthy, honestly. But what are you gonna do? Give us a follow on social media, Blue Sky, X at Piffles Pod. I'm there at Real Alex D.
And you'll find me at Safamod.
And as always, I do not need nor want your pity follows on Greg on Sports. That is a Festivus complaint, by the way. The pity follows.
Hold on, bro. We'll get there. We got a couple things to get out of the way first, and then we'll get to Festivus. Also on Facebook as well, and check out the website, pifflespodcast.com. We'll still throw some stuff up there throughout the holiday season as, signings are announced and schedules and whatnot. So we'll still keep that updated. Just won't have a new show until the beginning of next year sometime. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast, watching on YouTube or SaskTel Max TV on demand. Piffles Podcast, of course, is brought to you by Dairy Queen on Elphinstone Street and Sask Drive in Regina. We're going to get to some report cards a little bit later. Maybe we should send out anonymous report cards about our show. Do we want to get those back? We'd look like the Edmonton Elks if we did that.
That
Just
high, you think?
Couple Fs, couple Ds.
Oh, there'd be a lot of Fs in there.
I got a lot of S for those people if they send back an app. Let's put it that way.
So we're going to talk CFLPA report cards as well. But let's kick things off here with the opening kickoff. All right, so we're going to breeze through a bunch of stuff here before we get to Festivus, because that's going to take up a good portion of our show here, because I hate a lot of things, apparently. So we'll get to a few signings that the Riders have made over the last week. The biggest one, re-signing offensive lineman Noah Zur to a one-year deal. Just depth there. Finally got a chance to play this year with all the injuries for the Riders. So to me, it's a good depth signing.
Agreed. Good local kid. My favorite Husky of anyone, and that's a throwback to.
You weren't even on the show when that happened. Get
Exactly. I enjoyed it
Evan
as a supporter of you and the CFL in general. I am.
My Festivus list is growing.
I thought that was Evan
minute.
Johnson.
It was Evan Johnson.
It was
Yeah.
Evan Johnson, but I just like saying Husky.
All right.
You slip up one time. One time.
Yes, Steve, that's the one time you've screwed up.
Yeah.
Few other signings, guys we've never heard of before. Wide receiver Jamarcus Bradley looks like he could possibly be a kick returner, which the Riders might be in the market for in 2025. So if he
they
is
better
a kick
be in the
return,
market for.
yeah. So if he does return kicks, then maybe that's the foot in the door he needs to crack this roster in a pretty crowded receiver room. Defensive line gets Alex Gubner, and yes, we've all made the "Hello Gubner" jokes. So yes, we'll get that out of the way now.
But I
also
am
have
going to
not.
use it.
What?
I will
That's
not.
all I've seen. I saw there was 10 of those comments on Rider fans alone on the guys signing, and a whole bunch more on social media. So if he makes the team, I guarantee someone in training camp, probably Britton Gray, is going to be like, "Hello, Gubner," and then he'll yeah, thanks. I don't know.
Only
Maybe it
if
won't be-
Britton wears one like those beefeater hats when he does it.
He probably has one, actually.
He probably does.
And a defensive back, Eddie Heckard, joins the team. He's a cornerback. The team needs corners. Sounds like we might need 2 of them to start 2025. So there we go. Some competition for training camp as the Riders making a few signings this past week. Other news, NFL workouts. A few guys are getting workouts with teams. The Denver Broncos worked out Joe, AJ Allen, and Logan Ferland. Pittsburgh Steelers worked out Joe. So did the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts also worked out Trevor Reed as well, too. So these typically don't result in signings, but really quick, guys, your take on seeing these names pop up?
I'm glad you read me AJ Allen's names. I thought it was not hieroglyphics.
Yeah. I overlooked that name. Honestly, what happened?
I know. I
saw the
find
tweet.
it funny.
I saw the tweet come out, and then I just like, oh yeah, there's Ferland and a Joe. Let's put that out. I didn't even read the rest of the names. I have no idea who else is on that list because I still haven't really read that tweet.
I just want to appreciate
Allen.
AJ Allen for following along with what we do enough to give us hell for missing his name.
Yeah.
But
That's one of those you absolutely call us out for it. We appreciate it.
yeah,
And it was funny.
yeah, and the hieroglyphics line, chef's kiss.
Beautiful.
A Joe doesn't surprise me. He was a highly touted college receiver for a little bit there. Obviously fell off a little bit to where they thought he should land. But dude's got all the physical talents, and if he stays up here, I think he's going to wreck the league. So it doesn't surprise me the NFL is looking for young receivers that can put an impact. My biggest fear is Ferland, obviously, both as a Thunder on the Thunder board who cares a lot about him, and obviously with the Riders. Dude's a Swiss Army knife on that line. You lose that flexibility. But that said, if he gets a chance, he deserves it because he played his ass off this year.
You know, you mentioned it with Joe. The guy's 6'3", came from a highly touted Division I school in Clemson. He's got the body, he's got the school history, and he showed he can play professional ball. You don't want to see his name that many times coming across multiple tweets. That's never a good sign. Multiple teams looking at a guy, but I think he needs a couple more years up north before he ends up with that look. But if he doesn't, good for him. One of those, you're always happy for these guys if they get the shot down south. Sucks for the team. As fans of the Riders, we want to see them back here, but you gotta wish them well, especially a local kid like Logan Ferland too.
The good news is these guys are, except for AJ Allen, who's a pending free agent, the other guys, Joe, Ferland, and Trevor Reed, are under contract for 2025. So if these don't pan out, they're back here in Riderville for next season. So good news for us in that, but we do wish them well because obviously you want to see guys make the show and get that bank, right? Because that's a significant difference from what they're making up here in the CFL.
I'm really curious how many NFL, let's say Ferland does get signed and he actually plays some real time. How many NFL players never went to an NCAA school, came through a junior program and played 9-man in high school? He didn't play like actual like full man football until he played for the Thunder.
My guess would be he would be the first.
I'm guessing so too. That's nuts. Like, the dude's a beast.
And for our sake, hopefully he doesn't make it.
I hope he makes it, but at the same time,
yeah,
maybe if he didn't make it, it wouldn't hurt my heart. It wouldn't break my heart.
Yeah. The CFL released 10 names on every single negotiation list this year. It's online if you want to see it. That's, whatever. Guys that may or may not ever come up to the CFL. And Jeremy O'Day did say that on Sports Cage last week, JC Sherritt, our linebackers coach, will be joining the Edmonton Elks as their defensive coordinator. It's not official yet, but JO said it's happening, so there you go. And one really cool note here before we do get to Festivus. The Saskatchewan Roughriders received the inaugural Chris Schultz Community Impact Award. And this is a really cool one. It's a brand new honor. It's going to be presented annually to the CFL team that demonstrates exceptional support for the Pure Later Tackle Hunger Program through food security advocacy, significant non-perishable food and monetary donations, and meaningful fan and community engagement. So this past year against the Argos, 29,122 pounds of food being donated to the Regina Food Bank. So Chris Schultz was huge for the Tackle Hunger program, and pretty cool that the Riders get the inaugural one. So, and that, I mean, the Riders get the award, but really this is an award for the fans, because you're the ones that brought out the money and the non-perishables to Mosaic Stadium to that game against the Argos in July. So kudos to you, Rider Nation, for making that happen, because it's a great cause, and it's a huge one for the CFL across the country, and really cool for the Riders to get this award.
And honestly, it's long overdue. I mean, we're going on 3 years since he passed. It's long overdue for Chris Schultz to have something in honor of what he did for the CFL, both as a player and as a broadcaster. It was good to see his name get slapped on an award, and one that obviously would have meant something to him too.
Especially, yeah, because he was the face of the Tackle for Hunger program. Like,
yeah, he did all those commercials.
He led that for how many years, and it is awesome the Riders got the first one, and it's awesome to see Schultz being remembered in something, in a legacy that's going to last.
Absolutely. Well, there's your news and notes from around Riderville for the past week. But it's time.
Does this work still?
The mission of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now you're going to hear about it.
That's right. And Festivus starts with the airing of grievances. Now, I actually went down into the crawl space to see if I had an aluminum pole. I don't have an aluminum pole.
I should have brought one. I had one at work. I could have brought one.
What do I have around here? I got some, I don't know. There's some Play-Doh here.
I was like, I have an empty beer can. Does that count?
I got a stylus for my tablet that I use when I draw stuff.
That's probably closer, actually. So maybe we'll use that. But we start with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with the CFL, and now you're going to hear about it. So first off, I'll start this off here, guys, and we'll take turns. Let me take you back
for the last 6 after we've run out.
Let me take you back to the beginning of June, the birth of the misconduct penalties of the 2024 season, especially with the Riders. They were taking a ton of them. Corey Mace did get things settled down eventually, but CFL, what are those misconducts? With officiating, we need transparency. We had no idea what was being called. Here's a 15-yard misconduct penalty. Here's a 10-yard one. Well, what's the difference? Why is one 10, one's 15? We have no idea what's going on. Tell us what these are. We have no idea in stadium because they don't announce anything. On TV, you have Suter and Nielsen and Dwayne Ford and whoever else is doing games,
Roddy,
guessing what is going on. They have no idea. Transparency. CFL, transparency. Let's hear it. What is this? Oh, like, don't just say it's a misconduct. Is it taunting? Is it punching a guy in a pile?
Giving him the business?
Yeah, exactly. And you get some, especially with a guy like Ben Major, you can get a great call from Ben Major.
Oh,
like,
Ben Major would be a great.
Hear what these misconducts are, tell us, and then at least that way players know right away, okay, I got called for taunting. I better not do that again. Otherwise, they're just guessing. And if the refs aren't telling them what's going on. So
I can see Ben Major actually calling it, giving him the business.
Right? Absolutely, you would.
Okay, I'm going to take the next one, and it has to do with the penalty, except that we're taking it to the end of the season with the interference call on the punt return. Not the fact that play was called. That by the rule book, that is the way it is. The fact that, and don't get me wrong, I know I crap on 3 down a lot, but the fact that John Hodge deems this as something that the league needs to look at because it was a stain upon the game that was even called. Everyone knows from junior, powder puff football, Mighty Mites, that you do not interfere on a live ball. It did, and the worst part is it didn't even affect the game. That's even funnier because there's the interception, so it had no effect on the game. It's just because it happened to the Bombers, and I'm casting aspersions here. He might be an unbiased journalist on this one. I'm using might. It's a metric ton of lifting right now. But if you think that is one of the CFL's biggest issues that they need to fix over this offseason, you're paying attention to the wrong things. I came out of the gate hot on that one.
I don't know. I thought that was a great call. It was called properly, and we should keep it the way it is because that's always been the rule. That's the way it should be.
And it screwed the Bombers, so win-win.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything that creates a little bit, even just that hint of more parity in the league, I'm for. Especially when that's against the Bombers.
All right. We've made fun of the Bombers. We've made fun of others. I have to make fun of the Riders or share some grievances about the Riders. I remember the final regular season game this season, sitting at Mosaic Stadium, watching the Maxtron, watching all these cool graphics that they had for this meaningless game of football. The down markers, the play clock, everything about that game, they had just upped their graphics game. Super excited. You should see me walking into the playoff game going, I can't wait to see that again. It's just that extra bit of information. And what do they give us for the playoffs? The same old garbage.
You know why?
Why would you taunt us with that? I know why, but then don't do it. Don't do it in a real game. Save that for the preseason if it's just a test. Don't taunt me with it at the end of the preseason or at the end of the regular season and then not do it for the playoffs. It angered me.
Because the league
What about you, Greg?
Playoffs. No, but that's why the league takes over the presentation. It was all 100% CFL.
Let me interject here because Steve, I think it was the second last home playoff or second last game because that was the game I sat with you and Ferlin.
You're right.
It wasn't the last game. I was looking for it for the last game, and then they didn't do it there either. So it was just for that.
That was
one.
not the last game, so I wouldn't.
Yeah.
It's even worse then because now not only is it wrong, Greg is also wrong, which is fantastic. We need a dinger for that because that had nothing to do with the CFL running the playoff game. It had everything to do with the Riders being with cool graphics and then taking them away. Shame on you. But please bring them back.
They really should. Those were pretty cool.
It just helps. It helps in the in-stadium, especially when you are a gate-driven league. If you can increase the in-stadium experience, it gets people off the couch because if I can sit at home, drink cheaper beer, eat cheaper food, and get every replay and know where the first down marker is without having to guess, I'm probably staying at home.
Should ask Craig Reynolds. I know he was doing the media rounds. I wonder if anybody actually asked him about stuff like that instead of just saying, "Oh, what do you think about your season ticket holder base dwindling?" Stuff like that. I want to know.
We're
about.
Fans.
Ah, right.
As much as we'll get to actually that's going to be my next Festivus. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Do it right now.
I appreciate everything that the Regina sports media base does. I do. Nye, Barney, Shire, Daryl. I'm missing Britain. I'm missing a bunch of people here. I appreciate everything they do, but sometimes old media, this is making me sound like I'm getting pretentious now, is they're too used to the norms. They are in the school of Terry Jones and the people before them where we give you nothing but the facts, and this is the way it's got to be. Sometimes they need to step back and actually put their fan hat on. And I'm not asking them to be like diehard homers where they're going to say the Riders are going 18-0 all the time. That's not what I want. I need them to be realistic when the team is bad. I need them to be realistic when the team is good. Quit trying to play it down the middle. Quit trying to just do just the facts. And look at it from a fan's point of view, because I think that's why forums like us and why online stuff is gaining, while traditional media, for several reasons, is also failing, I guess, for lack of a better term.
I will say, as somebody who worked in this media for 10 years, sports reporters are stretched thin in Regina.
Yes,
You're asked to do
100%,
a ton of stuff. And why didn't you cover this? And why didn't you cover that? Well, because I had a day off. Oh, well, you should have been doing this.
No,
and I can comment about one company specifically that they make one sports reporter try and do about 70 or 80 hours worth of work in a week, and it's not fair. So they get the benefit of the doubt on that. But at the same time, when that happens, I'm not saying reporters get lazy, but they can fall into habits where they're getting the easy story and they're just looking for the quote to finish off this preconceived article that's already written. We see it everywhere. It's not just here.
I know it is. I know guys who have written their story in the fourth quarter and either had to scrap it if all of a sudden something changes, or when they get to that final press conference, they're just looking for a quote to insert. So their question is super specific to what they need. It's not even about content. It's about just filling space. And as a former journalism student, as a guy who grew up wanting to do this, that always bugs me. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure if I'd been in the industry for 20 years, I'd be jaded too, and I would do what I need to do to get my next paycheck. I honestly get it. The fact remains is this is fun for me. If it stopped being fun, I'd stop doing it. So I get it. But then again, my family's well-being is not based on how well we do. Like just because we get X amount of views on SaskTel Max or X amount of listens does not affect my paycheck, which thank God. But I get it, but I just wish there would be a way to ride that balance. And I think that's where, and this is kind of pumping our own tires, where I wish the riders would be more susceptible to using us, like giving us a little more access, because all we're doing is giving you guys free publicity.
And honestly, we don't ask for much. Very, very little. Completely honest with you. We ask very little of the team. And when it takes a week to get a response, it's frustrating. Especially when we're giving you everything for free. So whatever. Okay, we'll move on. In-game interviews. Just stop. Do a pregame show for the Hall of Fame game. You can get your in-depth questions then. Glenn Suter. I like him. I've dealt with him for 8 years of my radio career. Nice guy. I genuinely like Glenn Suter, but he doesn't need to fanboy all the time for these interviews. And bless Matthew Shinetti. Great guy, but his style, his questions are so long and drawn out. He answers the questions for them. And then then he answers it. And then he says, "What does it mean to you?"
Oh, I hate
That's
that.
every single question that he asks.
So
what
much.
does it mean to you? Think of something new. This goes back to just filling that quota, like we just said, in interviewing styles for writers. What does it mean to you? No, the guys don't really want to do this interview on the sideline or in the booth anyway. And if you do, let's have some fun with it. Tell some stories. Hey, what was your first impression coming up to Canada if it's an American player and you came into Saskatchewan? Like, what was your first impression? Get some of those kind of things. Not, what does it mean? Oh, it means everything to me and all the hard work I put in. Yeah, we know that. We've heard that a billion times. These guys have personalities. Help bring it out. So do a pregame, do a proper TV special and put that on TSN, put them up on YouTube and all the socials. Just stop. Just piss off with these in-game interviews because nobody likes them. The only person who likes them is Glenn Suter. That's it. Everything I've seen online, nobody likes them. I tune out. I'm trying to watch the game. I get it. You try to bring in casual fans, but again, do a preview special and have it there.
No one is watching a third quarter interview if they're a casual fan. Like, I still think my favorite in-game interview was the singer of Arkells, and he's like,
Max
I'm trying to
Kellerman.
watch the game. Yeah, I'm trying to watch the game. He wanted nothing to do with it because he knew no one wanted it.
Are you telling me
his
Keith Urban fans aren't going to sit and watch another quarter of football just to maybe hear 2 minutes from their hero? No?
And have
No.
Glenn Sitter saying, "Oh my God, I love you," so many times.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have a lot of disagreement on that particular airing of grievance.
Even Keith Urban stands are annoyed by that.
Even they want to watch the game.
Yeah.
Steve, you're up.
All right, I'm going to go next. My grievance is with Howard Balzer. Now, a lot of you might not know who that is.
We just talked about him. Sorry, previous
I
way
said-
before the show we just talked
Yeah,
about.
yeah. We
Yes.
talked about it in the pre-pro.
Yep.
Yeah.
I cannot begin to tell you how much I hate this man that I've never met before. Because all he does is bring CFL fans bad news. Now, if you don't know who he is, he's a Cardinals beat writer and also does a Sirius XM show. But he's the guy that breaks all of these NFL tryouts for CFL players. So he's the guy that's telling us about a Joe trying out in where all Indy and Denver and all of these things. So all he does is brings us bad news, like the world's worst Santa Claus. So for the good of everybody, block him, mute him. Let's just not hear from him. I don't want to hear his name for the next 3 months. I wish him well in his career. Just stop. I realize he's doing his job and he's doing it well. I just don't want the bad news. Is that so bad?
You have a problem with somebody that you've never met before? Why does this sound so
And
familiar?
also, thank you for being such a big supporter and fan of the CFL and myself personally.
As soon as you opened your mouth, I knew where that was going.
So did I, but it was still funny.
I'm thinking of a place you can go right now, Alec.
And what might that be, Steve? Can't quite tell what
What'd your
you're
cup
thinking.
say?
Not a
Yeah,
clue.
what'd your cup say? See, at least I pumped the merge.
All right. I guess that means it's my turn, right?
Yes,
Or is it Greg? Okay,
Yeah,
mine.
go ahead. Your list is bigger than mine.
The CFL on TSN panel.
Yeah.
I could get into production about the CFL on TSN and how bland they've gotten over the last, 20 years that they've, almost 20 full years they've had the monopoly. I could get into how they should just change up production a little bit. Maybe we'll do that next year because nothing will change next year anyway. But the panel itself, and I want to say first off, I love Milt Stiegel and Matt Dunnigan on the panel. I know I'm probably in the minority that a lot of people don't like Matt Dunnigan on the panel because I see a lot of complaints about him. Whatever, I love him. Jim Barker, though.
Ooh.
Stop yelling into the microphone. Oh, yeah. You have a microphone. You don't need to raise your voice. Somebody tell Jim this. He doesn't need to scream. Kate Bierness. I feel like she's trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Kate, be yourself. Be authentic. It's clear that you're acting up this persona you want to perceive on air on the panel. And it's so phony and it's just not working. It's not good. Just be yourself. And that's why I think the panel was better with Laura Daikun or Matt Shinetti hosting it, because it was just them being authentic, not trying to have this cheesy relationship with Davis Sanchez and saying, hey, Chezzy, hey, Chezzy, hey, Chezzy. No, that's not working. Just be yourself. Just be authentic. And that's for everybody on the panel too. Be authentic. Everybody wants to be the NBA on TNT.
I was going to say, I blame the NBA on TNT on this one.
You're not going to be them. You're never going to be them. because those, like everybody on that panel on TNT or wherever they're going next year, that's truly who they are. And it's hilarious and it's funny and it's sometimes it's informative when they actually talk basketball, but it's entertaining.
It's authentic.
That's exactly it. We see their personas. We see Shaq and Charles arguing with each other all the time. And while I like seeing Milt Stegall and Davis Sanchez getting in arguments, it seems like they're staged. If they come naturally, it's great stuff. Let stuff just happen naturally. It's going to be so much better. The product will be so much better. And also give me more Paul Appolise, and Enoch Muama can replace Davis Sanchez. So CFL and TSN panel, stop trying to be what you're not and focus on what you can be and what you are. Be authentic. You can have so much fun with these guys and Kate Burness or Laura Daikun, whoever is going to be your host on the panel. You can have so much fun. Just do it. Just be authentic. Stop trying to be the robot or phony or something that you're not.
Okay, I know I've said this many times on this show, and I mean it every time I say it. I love Rider Nation, but I hate Rider fans.
Broad brush there.
I understand that, and I don't mean the wonderful group that's run by Go. I love that man. People, we need to set some realistic expectations of both this team, the front office, and everything. Like, Craig Reynolds ain't going anywhere. Jeremy O'Day ain't going anywhere. This team is making money. This team is successful. And if you look at the players' report, and we're going to get to it, when you go to the CFLPA report card, they did very well at both the football operations and the administration, which means no one is complaining about those guys. So we kind of need to get off of the fire Craig and fire Jeremy train, because Jeremy O'Day brought in a lot of good talent. And I know a lot of people are trying to attribute it just to Corey Mason. Don't get me wrong, Corey Mason probably helped a lot with it because players want to play for that man. But O'Day's got the scouting down. Look at his drafts. And I understand we complain about the rider's tax, and we will always complain about the rider's tax.
That's next.
And yes, season tickets are down. I get that. But this team is still making money and made money coming out of pandemic. And yes, there was that last year, that loss, which I am certain is an accounting trick. And this year will be somehow much, much better when it comes to that. It comes to the profit. So let's give this group some rope before we start driving manure trucks down the street.
I guess that's me again. Where'd my list go? I'm going to give a shot at the CFL next. And this is a relatively new change as of this morning, but letting Chris O'Leary walk out the door, whether it was he was let go, whether he was fired, whatever the story that is, letting him go is a mistake. He was a fantastic writer for the league, provided very solid, unbiased coverage, and made it interesting enough to read that I would actually go out looking for his article. I don't do a lot of that anymore. I wanted to read his stuff. And letting him go, I hope it's the league moving in a new direction, a new, maybe, I don't know what they're doing, but letting him go was a mistake.
I'll actually skip the rider tax one and follow up on that, Steve. And it does kind of fall in with the CFL and possibly the website. And it's just the marketing of the league, just in general. They hired a player market manager prior to this season. Mm-hmm. Where was the marketing of the players on a national level? There's nothing. We're seeing a lot more with the riders. They're doing a lot better job marketing, especially AJ Ouellette, Sean Bain, CJ Rivas, Kean Schaefer-Baker, Sam Emelis, doing a ton of stuff So they're doing a great job showing their stars, getting them out, and doing stuff like that. So good job for the Riders, but where's that happening on a national level? This has to come from the league. This can't be just the teams doing their own thing and hoping that somebody, a Rider fan in Toronto, sees it. No, that's not how it's going to work. You need it on a national level. The league also hired a social media coordinator and more content creators. Where is this content? Because it's not out there. A bunch of articles are put up on CFL.ca, but is there any videos? Like, cool, you put up some warm-up videos on Instagram. Cool. Is that what we want to watch?
I'm going to kind of piggyback on that right now that you kind of reminded me. They made a big deal about all those creators they let come to the Grey Cup, like Coach Phil, like CFL Reddit. None of that stuff was fed to me, and I follow those two especially. Like, there was a bunch of them. I don't recall any real content coming out, and maybe I missed it, maybe I did, but I don't even recall the CFL amplifying it. So what was the point of that announcement if it wasn't going to be a bigger thing?
It's like they want to hire people to do this stuff and then just let them do it. And then that's it. No, this is your product. You should be selling it, CFL. Put it everywhere. Force it on us. Make commercials out of it. Seems pretty simple to me.
My favorite thing about the entire CFL weekend, do you guys know that Chelsea Green was officially one of the marshals at the CFL fan parade?
I did know that, actually. Maybe because I was there.
Probably. Like, if it wasn't for her Instagram and her present, like her socials, I never would have known. And apparently, and she even took a picture of like one of the electronic screens announcing her at the event. And I'm like, CFL did not plug that at all.
And what's really funny to me is guys like Coach Phil and CFL Reddit, Chelsea Green, those are different and new ways that they can market this league. And somehow they have them right there and just choose not. It's baffling to watch from the outside, honestly. Like, that's the kind of markets that they want to get into. That's the kind of style of marketing that would sell this league to a younger generation. But what are they doing with it?
You guys remember the CFL week in Winnipeg when the Rocks movie Rampage came out?
I remember parts of that weekend.
Yeah, so do I. It's a little fuzzy, but know what I remember? The giant cutout of Rampage featuring the Rock and getting a Rampage water bottle because they thought that would help sell the CFL, and I'm like, this feels backwards. Like, it made no sense to me now. And that's what they think, tying themselves to a guy that never played a down in the league makes more sense than an actual, like, to people that want to push the league. And I don't get it.
Well, hopefully now
The Rock always says good things about the CFL.
You know, he says good things about Wally Buono.
Wally Buono.
That's true. Very specifically just Wally, which is fair. He still needs to get off the field.
Okay, I'll go and I'll do the Rider tax. Rider fans, we should not be punished simply just for being fans of this team. Now, I think there's a lot of good stuff the Riders have done lately, especially over the last year or so of trying to reach back to the fans. And then there's pricing of their product. Charging fans, Rider fans, anywhere between 10 and 30% more than the exact same product from another team is ridiculous. The Turf Traditions long sleeve sweater. You look anywhere else, it's on average, I think it was $99.99. There might have been one team that had them for $89.99, but it was $100. What's the Rider one? $125. $25 more for the exact same sweater. I looked at hoodies. I talked about it on the show. I brought up the graphic. I did an article about it. It was $25 just for a plain hoodie, a plain one. We sell more product and make more product than all the other teams. It's cheaper to make rider ones because you're making more of them. And we have to pay a premium price because, I don't know, Greg Reynolds wants to make some made up margin number. Screw your margin number. The cheapest hoodie should not be $90. That's ridiculous. This is how you alienate fan bases. And I understand this is a pro sports thing where it's expensive to be a fan. It really, truly is. Every other league is like that too, where they have $90 hoodies. But you should be able to find maybe a $50 one or a $60 one. Get your product everywhere. We've talked about it. You should be going into any small town co-op gas station and find something with the Rider logo on it. You don't see that anymore because the Riders didn't want that anymore. And where's the full zips? I'm tired of just the hoodies. Give me a full zip. I want a full zip. They don't have any. They have one. They have one on the Rider Store website. It's $125. Plain black with the Rider logo. $125. Get bent. That's ridiculous.
No, my favorite one is that awesome starter jacket you bought at Marshall's. How much did you spend on it?
Oh, the $100 for the button up zip.
I am kicking myself when you told me that. I'm kicking myself for not driving to Marshall's immediately. Because how much is it in the Rider Store?
$189.
It is.
I feel that's an anomaly, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on that. But at the same time, when you're charging $100 more than another retailer for the exact same product, when it's your product, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. And the fact that Marshall's had it first is even funny.
How that happened, I have no idea.
Neither do I.
Do you guys have anything else? Because I have one more, and then I have a couple honorable mentions here to wrap up Festivus before we move on to these report cards.
I've got one more. I'm gonna go after CFL fans in general for giving us hope all through December, constantly bringing up dates the CFL schedule is going to come out as if they know what day it's going to come out, getting us excited only to be wrong. Unless you have sources, shut the hell up and let us all enjoy it when it actually comes out. Stop lying to me.
What if I say I have sources, but I just use Justin Dunk's reporting, and then I delete anyone that says they have reporting?
Well,
I think you should run a fan page then.
Okay. Good.
To show off your Rider pride on that fan page. That's what I think you should do.
Just stop giving us hope. Stop it.
CFL, where is that schedule? Let's go. Got plans to make. Got to have holidays in.
We're going to trip out east to plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Or out west, because flights to Vancouver are cheap in June. Come on.
The flights to Vancouver are only like $90. In every month except for
one way.
One way. 180.
One way, but on the way back, $200 round trip to Vancouver ain't bad.
No, I'd take that.
Yeah.
Let's go, Trevor. We know you've got it done. Bring it out. Let's see it. Let us plan our Christmas or our holidays.
December 18th sounds like a good day to release it. A week before Christmas, an early Christmas present for CFL fans. Okay, CFL, let's get it out. Let's go. Okay, really quick honorable mentions before my last one. The Sean Lemon versus Chad Kelly suspension debate that happened this year.
Oh my God, that sucks so bad.
Apples and oranges. That's it. I'll leave it at that. Apples and oranges. Integrity of the game versus something completely different, which I think is way worse in real life. Way, way, way worse. But the league cares about the integrity more than anything. So that's where that ends to me. Apples and oranges. The CFL Command Center.
Oh.
Go back to our tie against Ottawa. Just re-listen to that whole episode. That's our airing of grievance on that. And the player awards. How Logan Ferland didn't get most outstanding offensive lineman is beyond me. And Roland Milligan should have been mop.
How about the physical awards in general?
Oh, those were awful.
Looked like you could pick them up at a dollar store.
Here, I this cup is bigger than the award they got.
Probably worth more too.
Actually,
For a
considering
professional league, that was embarrassing.
Considering I got that in Vegas from a robot bartender, probably did cost more than the awards did.
All right, my final grievance that I have for this year actually is I know it's gonna trend into next year. And it's probably the one thing that bugs me more than anything else. I know, Steve, you have Chris Strevler. I have Jake Mayer.
Yes.
The idea that Jake Mayer will be the Riders' backup quarterback in 2025 and potentially the starter beyond that is inexcusable. No thanks. Don't want it. I said last episode I'm starting to come around on it because I feel that's probably what's going to happen. Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. No, do not want. No mayor here in Saskatchewan, please.
After all the making fun of me you did about Chris Strevler, karma. Absolute karma.
Know what I can't wait for is for somehow Jake Mayer to be good and Alex having to do the entire Happy Gilmore, I'm smart, you're stupid speech.
Like
you're good looking, I'm moderately handsome.
Like any player on the Riders, I want them to succeed in green and white. I do. I really do. I want them to do their best. I just don't want him in green and white to start so that we never get the chance.
My nemesis was in green and white twice. Played one game and that was it, but he was in green and white twice.
So for those paying attention here, the worst possible off season for the Piffles podcast would be the Riders signing Jake Mayer to back up, Chris Strevler to be the third string, and Sean Lemon to be reinstated and signed with the Riders on the defensive line. This show might actually explode.
Yeah.
We just shut the doors. We're done.
We quit.
We're done.
Yeah. If that happens, that is the breaking point of the Piffles podcast.
Hey, at least Chris Strevler said something nice about Steve. I had Sean Lemon in my DMs.
Well, have you kept his name out your mouth?
No, I obviously haven't because I've got a bet on yourself sign back here. You can't see it anymore with my new setup.
I will say I've never seen Randy Ambrose as animated about anything as he was at the at the Grey Cup State of the League address, talking about betting on the game. He said, he's right. Doesn't matter if it's a $1 bet. You cannot do it. It ruins the integrity of the game.
I don't care if, like, same with Randy. I don't care if he bet him to win, lose, draw. I don't care if he bet him on himself to get five sacks. The fact remains is you bet on a game you play in. Everyone, it doesn't matter who you are. We've all lived in the age of Pete Rose. We know better. And the fact he's like, well, they didn't tell me it was wrong. I'm like, dude, come on.
There's training programs that go through every single training camp. They make it clear you cannot bet. That's it. It's as simple as that. That was the worst thing.
You cannot bet on the league that you are in. It is that simple. Like I don't care if you're in the CFL betting on baseball or CFL betting on NFL. I don't care. You cannot bet on any game that, let's face it, players talk. Players have inside info.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's not insider trading.
So you can't make a bet on the league you're in. It's just not right.
All right. Well, there's your annual Festivus. But Festivus isn't over until Steve pins Chris Strevler. So it's time for the feats of strength. Steve, no? I'm not doing it? No? Okay. Well, that's the opening kickoff presented by Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Regina Realty. We got to get to the Churchill Brewing Company Odds and Endzones. This is a long show. We're not going to do our positional deep dive this episode because we knew Festivus and the report cards would take us quite a while. So we'll do that. We'll look at the linebackers to start 2025. Hopefully a few more of them are re-signed by then, but
they ain't going anywhere till the next year anyway, so we're fine.
Yeah. We need some content in the off season next year anyway, besides just free agency. So there we go.
That or the all name club.
We still haven't. We should do that.
We've been talking about that for like 3 years.
At least 2.
Yep. Well, on Tuesday, the CFLPA, the Players Association, released their club report cards, their first annual ones. We've seen this. I think the NFL's had it for 2 or 3 years now, where you basically give your team, you only give grades to your team that you play for. And it was given out to every player on the roster, practice roster as well, because they were sent out in October. So I think it was averaged that 55 players per team responded, which is a huge number, actually, considering at the end of the year, teams are carrying about 70 players, including like all the injured lists and everything. That's a very big number.
Oh, can I do one minor, actually, Festivus, going back for a second?
Sure.
Ottawa being cowards for not putting any comments through all of them to a man did not put in a comment about the team. They just did grades. Cowards.
All 53 of them, I think, that responded.
Yeah, 53. All 53 did not do a comment.
That's just lazy. That goes right up to the head coach. He's not getting into them enough.
I wouldn't know he blocked me.
Which is funny to me. How do you get Bob Dice of all people to block you?
I have no idea. I really don't.
He might legitimately be the nicest guy in football.
I understand that. I have never said a bad word about Bob Dice, so I have no idea.
Bob Dice begs to differ.
Yeah, apparently.
Bring him on the show, find out why.
So, Bob, why'd you block me?
Yeah, we just need you for like two questions here, Bob. First off, why? Second, why not sooner?
Yeah, exactly.
So these report cards came out. Nothing that was really surprising to me in all the comments across the league. So we'll look at the Rider ones here. The Riders finished with tied for first with Hamilton with a B average, 3.0 GPA, whatever they figured that out as. So generally speaking, the players like it here. So there was different tier or different things that they had to grade on and then give thoughts on. And Greg, you mentioned this earlier with the whole Craig Reynolds and Jeremy O'Day, they ain't going anywhere. Football operations. The Riders got an A from the play. And this is the players voting on this. This isn't fans. This isn't anybody else. This is people who are not even just employees of the club. This is players who are in there every single day from day one of training camp all the way till the end of the season.
In reality, it was just Jeremy O'Day and Craig Reynolds filling out 53 surveys.
Yeah, threatening the players that will cut you if you don't give us an A+ or something like that. Exactly. So football operations.
That's the real reason Anthony Lanier was benched at the end of the year.
He threatened to give them a C.
Yeah. Well, that was the correct me if I'm wrong. That was the only A given, wasn't it? Was the Riders on? Was 2? Okay, I knew it was A. Very rare.
I remember who had it. I think Montreal had one.
Yeah, I'm pulling up now.
Yeah,
so you can tell because I look like Casper the Friendly Ghost here because my screen's so bright. Yeah. Equipment. Hamilton got an A. That's what it was. Yeah.
Apparently, Ticats players really love it in Hamilton too.
Well, they do.
Yeah. Which is funny because they live in Hamilton. Just kidding. We live in Regina.
They probably live in Toronto, drive the 45 minutes down the highway, whereas players in Toronto have to walk 30 minutes across the street as a commute to get from BMO at the locker room to the practice field.
But Hamilton does have an EV station, so they're awesome that way.
Nothing more Ontario than that.
No, those comments just cracked me up, but it was hilarious.
Football ops get an A. Management and administration for the Riders get an A-. So obviously the stuff they're doing in the offices in the office building at Mosaic Stadium,
which was the highest of all the teams.
Yeah. So the players are liking whatever's going on in the building there. here's where we're going to start getting some comments. Is the training and medical staff. The riders got a grade of B. Couple of the comments were, we need more athletic trainers, always rush for treatment and pre-practice taping. And then another comment was, our medical team makes it tough to book them in to see them, as there are time slots and then they stop their day at a certain time and are not available after that. So stuff like this, maybe it was brought up internally before, but now that it's out publicly, probably going to get addressed a hell of a lot quicker. And we're going to see this from all the teams as well too. But this is a good way for the teams to see what their players aren't happy with and start working on stuff like that. So can the team afford more athletic trainers? Yeah, probably. How many are they allowed to have? What's in the budget? Who knows? But maybe that's something that they do look at. So equipment was a B.
Gordy, get better.
Saw him the other day.
Was he wearing shorts?
He no, I think he was actually wearing pants. He was wearing pants.
I've never seen him wear pants. Oh my god.
It was eye-opening. Let me tell you that much. I was not expecting that. Never seen Gord Gilroy ever wear pants. Family treatment was an interesting one. The riders got a B on that. Some other teams, not as well. Like there was, I don't have it in front of me, but I forgot who it was, but saying maybe it was Hamilton actually, just didn't like where the players' wives and girlfriends got tickets.
Montreal. That was Montreal. I think it was Montreal.
Yeah, it was Montreal.
Actually.
Yeah.
Was it Montreal? So they didn't like that they weren't all together, and they thought that should be a more important thing. So
not just not all together, but they were in rooms where there wasn't even a TV to watch the game.
You're thinking of a different one, because I think there was.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a. Yeah, I think there's two different teams we're thinking
Yeah,
of.
no,
Montreal
Hamilton has them in the stands, I think, spread out. Montreal
but they're
has
spread
them,
out. Yeah,
yeah,
and Hamilton and the players wanted them together.
Yeah, yeah, they basically want a box for the family.
But. Yeah. Here's the one where most teams failed at, was nutrition and diet. This was the riders' lowest grade as a D+. And the comment that was put out by the CFLPA was, the nutrition and food options are pretty poor, especially at breakfast. Hearing other teams like Toronto has way better quality and options. So
Thanks,
to me, that's a real.
The riders were in the middle.
To me, that's a real simple. That's a real simple.
Oh, it's real. It's definitely real. It's a real comment. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see what you both did there.
Yes,
real funny.
It's a simple fix to me, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's other teams like maybe. So it was also asked if your team makes you pay for meals as well too. I want to say it was Montreal that didn't offer. Was it Montreal that didn't have a post-game meal? But there was
BC also was 50-50, I want to say, maybe.
BC. Oh, maybe it was BC. Didn't have a post-game meal, and pre-game or whatever they had to split, or post-practice they had to split.
And then one team only offered meals on the road, but not at home. Like, these are simple things that pro franchises should have figured out by now. You would think.
What the teams need to do is they all need to gather on Winnipeg's jet and figure things out, because nothing was as hated as Winnipeg's plane. Like,
Winnipeg doesn't even want to get on Winnipeg's jet.
Just amazing.
Well, no, okay, so have you guys ever seen the movie Major League? I know I'm older than both of you by now.
Yes.
Yes.
The way they describe Winnipeg's plane is the way I think of the Major League Baseball plane on the first road trip they take. And they're like all like Willie Mays Hayes like praying in the plane. Like that's what I picture.
Like just going over Winnipeg's, they did a great job. The plane sucks. Great locker room. The plane sucks. Great organization. Travel sucks. Winnipeg does a great job. Like there was no specifics about
the
anything
plane is falling apart.
Other than
one of the comments.
Yeah, like, but it was literally good plane, good Plane, good plane. It was fantastic. But none of the other positive comments were about anything in particular. Except the plane. Just beautiful. The fact that a team in Winnipeg has issues with their jet is just chef's kiss on top of it.
The
Well, if
irony.
you ask most NHL players on their surveys, they didn't think Winnipeg had an airport.
So team travel. The Riders got a B on that. So job, Riders. You're giving the players more than goldfish crackers.
That was
Which
the
I guess-
other great comment.
Bomber fans or Bomber players don't like, I guess.
Only Hamilton beat him on that one. Hamilton only got a B+.
Do they get bussed down to Toronto then?
I guess.
I don't know. And the final one that was graded was training camp. Riders got a B on that one. And it was funny because Edmonton took a kicking on that one, which is not surprising because this was also a Chris Jones training camp that these players would have gone through to start 2024. It's notoriously known that Chris Jones training camps suck. They're the worst. They're the hardest. There's no rest whatsoever. I know you're doing 2-a-days. He's making you do 3-a-days. Like that's how bad it is. I had Hamilton coach. I sent it to you guys. I should bring that back up. Who was it? Their offensive coordinator. Yeah. I got it in here somewhere. It was right before the trade happened. Wow, we talk a lot. David Butler. He is the offensive coordinator, assistant head coach, and running backs coach with the Ticats. Or sorry, not with the Ticats, but anyway, he's a football coach. Did say I agree on that for sure. That Chris Jones training camps suck. So to me, that vote or that grade will be a complete 180 next year.
Mm-hmm.
With I don't know.
We don't know what Killam's training camps look like yet.
It's probably not going to be anything like Chris Jones. That's my guess.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
So overall, the Riders did rather well. Again, tied with Hamilton for first on the list. That's good things. It means they're treating their players pretty good. Obviously, except for nutrition and diet. So I don't know. Maybe it's because we don't have someone outside Mosaic Stadium smoking meat for them for after practice like they do in Toronto. I don't know. But I think I made the real simple joke. It is actually a real simple solution. Take the guys across the street. Go to Dairy Queen. Go to Dairy Queen on Elphinstone and Sass Drive. You'll get a good meal there. There.
Yep.
Get a blizzard.
Yeah. Those guys will be exponentially happier.
Dilly bars for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder how much that happens. Bringing them into the locker room on a plus 30 day. I wonder if the team sends somebody to go across the street and just buy out the freezer of dilly bars and bring them over.
That seems like a Pete move. Canada's smartest man.
That's true. And one other thing here before we go, looking around the CFL, of course, this is the odds and end zones. Quarterback trade, the 1-for-1 trade, the very rare CFL 1-for-1 quarterback swap. McLeod Bethel Thompson going from Edmonton to Montreal in exchange for Cody Fajardo. He's still under contract. It's not like it's fine.
Cody's got a year. MBT's only a rights.
Edmonton also said the rights to Cody Fajardo in their trade release, but I mean, technically, all you have is the player's right. You can't force them to play.
Well, they also can't force Cody to renegotiate a bonus that's coming due in less than a month.
Yeah. So Cody Fajardo is due a $200,000 bonus January 15th just for being on the roster. And of course, his contract transfers over from Montreal to Edmonton. So Edmonton's on the hook for that. But they'll renegotiate that because there's no way they're going to pay him $200,000 right off the bat, plus a salary for this year to be a backup to Trey Ford. But I guess there goes any hope of him coming back to Riderville.
Good.
Here's what I don't understand from Cody's point of view. If I'm Cody, I need to be guaranteed I'm getting that $200,000 no matter what. Because why would you give that up in general? So either pay me now, and I understand the market's weak right now for him, so that might be the only thing hindering him right now. But he needs to be guaranteed that $200,000, and then whatever on top of that is gravy at that point. I'm sure he would gladly hold I would gladly hold a clipboard for $200,000.
I'd gladly hold a clipboard for $50. I mean, let's be honest here. Don't put me in the game. At some point, you got to wonder what's going on with Trey Ford, though. Is he? I mean, I know Dave Campbell was out there saying he's going to be going into camp as the de facto number one. But Cody Fajardo.
What's Dave Campbell saying that? Ed Hervey.
He's the Elks beat writer.
Oh, Dave Campbell. Sorry, I was thinking of
Campbell.
the other Campbell. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
He said that there's no way Trey Ford is going into camp as anything other than the de facto number one quarterback. But we're talking about a guy in Cody Fajardo who was arguably an MOP candidate before he got hurt. And it clearly shows that he can still do it, as opposed to Trey Ford, who has looked good in spurts. Cody's looked solid for 4 years now. I don't know that it's quite as cut and dry that Trey Ford's going to be the starter come week 1 of the CFL season next year. And if he's not, at what point does Trey Ford ask to move on? Because we're talking 11 days from when he signed his contract, and they trotted him out there as the clear number one, and then they go and sign or trade for Cody Fajardo. They can say all they want publicly, but that says a lot.
I'm confused though by the entire process of this. Everyone knew that at some point Montreal was going to have to get rid of Cody. Like, they were not going to pay him that $200,000. So why even trade MBT's rights to get him into the fold? So obviously Edmonton wants Cody on their roster in some form or fashion, because this way it's not a free-for-all. But I still don't get it. Like, it just makes no sense. Like, why would you make this giant announcement and this giant parade of the new number one guy just to immediately go, well, we're bringing in this guy just in case you don't work out?
There is a large difference between, say, the Riders, if they go out and sign Alex's favorite player in Jake Mayer, and signing him behind Trevor, versus if the Elks trade for a guy who is still at the top of his game and a clear number one quarterback.
And a guy who's got time on a contract. Like, they traded for a guy on a contract. If they just waited, they could have said, well, he was the best guy available that we could sign. The fact that they went out and traded for him feels like they're not sold on the Trey Ford experience.
Yeah, what this tells me is that Trey Ford will get. I do think he gets the number one reps and he goes into the season as the starter, but his leash is so short. I think just that whole club in Edmonton is so. They'll be so hell-bent on turning things around so fast that they're going to maybe make decisions that they should wait on. And a quarterback change might be one of them. Trey Ford could end up being a superstar. We still don't know. But if he's not given a couple games to figure it out and they immediately pull the plug on it, then what do you do for next year and the year after? Like, I don't know.
Edmonton boxed themselves to a corner because Trey Ford was very upfront after he signed that he was willing to move on because he was not happy with the way he was treated going into this. Ed Hervey kind of convinced him to stay around. My concern is when they went and got Cody now, they're basically stepping over $1 to save a dime. Like, they think they got something, but they need to back up their bet. But in doing so, they're already causing an issue. Like, they were better off waiting for Cody to become a free agent, like I said, so they could, like best guy available, we signed him. Now they made it look like they actively sought out Cody to back him up in case he doesn't work out. And I don't think that's going to work out for anybody because the market for Cody was so thin anyway.
I mean, I think realistically, Cody was going to end up in Alberta anyway. Just depends on which team it was. This isn't a bad fit for him. I think Trey Ford and him have a lot of similar qualities as a quarterback.
And Fajardo works so well.
Right? Trying to think of what it was with Parker. There was
I got the disapproving head shake. That's all I wanted.
I don't know. Can
we go back to Festivus for a second?
You can finish it off. Sure. We got to go right away.
Greg and his stupid joke.
Well, I promise you that is not going to change over the next year.
They're
probably
only
it will not stupider. They're probably only going to get stupider.
The good news is I don't have to hear them till next year
now. Reminds me just of that old George Carlin quote. Think of how stupid the average person is.
Mm-hmm.
Now realize that half the people in the world are stupider than that.
Yes, they are.
Ladies and gentlemen, our show in a nutshell.
Yes.
Yeah, so there we go. I think we'll probably just leave it there. And
next episode 300.
Yes, next episode will be episode 300. We should probably do something for that.
Well, we're trying to.
We'll see.
Read between the lines in the Festivus. You might figure out our problem right now.
I'm going to have to resort to Plan C on this one. I think. Well, I don't even know what Plan C is. Actually, it might be Plan D. See what we can do for episode 300. But that's a next year. That's a next year problem. But to finish off this year, 2024 as a whole for the Riders was a very successful season. I know the end result wasn't what we wanted it to be with the loss in the West Final, but the fact they got there with largely the same group that was 6-12 back-to-back years, to me is successful. They found guys for the future. They have their coach of the future, coaches of the future here, and things are only looking up for the Riders. So I'm looking forward to seeing what 2025 has for them. But as for us, that'll do it this year for us here on the Piffles podcast.
Before we leave, I need to say something.
Oh, okay.
Have a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, a Kwezi Kwanzaa, a Tip Top Tet, and a solemn and dignified Ramadan.
Yes, every year you have to get the Krusty the Clown quote.
I do.
So there's your Simpsons reference of the week. But honestly, from us to you guys, whatever you celebrate, please have fun, be safe, and enjoy time with family, because that's what this whole holiday season is all about. So I'm sure we'll get a few more Christmas gifts from the Riders here under the Christmas tree over the next week with some signings, hopefully some big name guys, some of the pending free agents coming. So hopefully we'll see that, but I guess we'll see. But that'll do it for us. Piffles Podcast brought to you by our great friends at Dairy Queen on Elphinstone Street and Sass Drive in Regina. Why are you looking at me like that?
You just keep going. That's fine.
Okay. Special thanks, of course, go
We're
out.
almost out. Just keep going.
Of Royal LePage Regina Realty and Churchill Brewing Company for their support making the show possible. Thanks for watching on SaskTel Max TV on demand on YouTube or listening wherever you get your podcasts. One final time for the year, this is Tyler Gilbert with Ghost Behind Your Mind.